Okay, today's talk is about not one but two patterns. The first one is the constructor pattern. So I will discuss different ways. Okay, the constructor pattern is meant to create objects, but not only create objects, but also create properties of that object. So I will present different ways how to create objects and properties and discuss the advantages and disadvantages and when to use it. Okay, let's say you want to create an object. Let's say object 1. And there are different ways how to do it. I think the most common way is with the object literal, like so. Another way is to use the new operator, like so. And the third way is to use the object create method. Create and then you set as a parameter in basically an empty object, and that's its object prototype. Yeah. So object prototype contains all the default properties, default functions of an object.
What's the benefit of the third way? It seems on the first glance it seems a bit more boilerplate.
Yeah, and that's actually the main point why it's not really recommended to use this, at least not for empty objects. If you just want to create an object like a simple one with no properties whatsoever, I mean no custom properties whatsoever, then it's recommended to use the object literal. It's faster to type. It's also less bytes, so it can be transferred faster. Yeah, you can actually also use this, but if you got the choice between these two, then just use this.
This is the case only if you want to go for a generic object.
Yeah.
Or if you want to make a specific object of a specific type, then you would go with
constructor pattern. This one you can use for having a prototype. You could set your prototype here, your custom one here. Then fill in with values. Another value, and then you would paste it in like so in this third you would an alternative how to create an object. You would then do it like this, proto. Then it's then you can create as many
instances.
Of this one as you want. Okay, so you've created an object, but you can also create properties. So with properties you can do this, or you can add properties after you created an object, because JavaScript is a dynamic language, so you can go like this. And how to create properties or how to add properties, there are also different ways how to do it. For example, another okay, awesome value, something like this. Then hello world or whatever. Or you can so this is the dot notation, or you can also use the rectangular brackets notation if I can find. All right. So awesome value 2. Or you could also use define property. And the way how you do it is, oh no, I'm sorry, it's not object 1, but it's actually object. So it's we're using the object property define object, and then we would type in the object in which you would create it. Then you would type in the value. Let's say the key. The key of that you want to create, and then you would create the value. The value is or something like this. And then there are other attributes you can assign into, for example, writable. In default, it's false. For example, it's not key, but let's say it's ID, so it makes more sense, maybe. ID, so writable is writable, we can set it to false. Actually, in default, it is already to false, but just to show it. You can also say enumerable. So you can iterate through. Let's say it's true. Default, it's also true, false.
What does that mean? The default is false of writable. Does that mean you cannot write on that property?
Yeah, you can. So once this is set, you can't change it.
What has happened? What happens? Does it throw an exception, or what happens if?
No, you. It's like if you would change the length. Okay, let's say you have an array, and you say there are 3 elements, and you print out the length of that array. Would print you out the 5. And this 5 is immutable. You can't set it to 6 or so. Similar to here. So you can't say, oh, ID is 5, and you can't change that ID. Okay. So what are advantages and disadvantages? For example, with this, you could add certain characters that would be invalid in the dot notation. For example, you can say this is awesome value 2 with a space in between. This would be still valid, but if you would do the same here, it would throw an exception.
Would you consider that a valid case to make such a space there?
Maybe sometimes it's used, but it's not recommended. It's either it's because this is a key is a variable that you would use later on. So it's recommended to use this or to use either to write the property as key value in camel notation or in with the underscore notation, but you seldom find a variable like this awesome value. It's really error prone, but just to show you could do it with this if you want to, I don't know, become fancy also. Yeah.
Does that mean
not recommended, but
does it mean that properties? And now, when I look at the syntax, and I would be very strict about it, the line number 15, object 1 of awesome value 2. This is basically a string. So basically, a string references that property. Does that mean that the reference is actually referenced via an object, because string is an object? Do you know what I mean?
I think so. No, it's not. It's not an. You mean the property itself an object, or
the property here is an object, so it's referenced via an object. And if you can make it with space in between, then it's probably a string. So is it referenced via another object?
No, I don't think so. I think behind the scene it's converted into like ASCII. This is probably this is what's translated into.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Then I mean you can create. Okay. What did I show? I showed how to create an object and also how to assign properties to that object. But sometimes you want to create yeah the properties directly into the object, and there comes in the constructor pattern. Okay. Let's say you've got this object constructor, and yeah, let's make it more practical. Let's say it's a patient constructor. Then it's got a name, it's got let's say ID, and then address. So then you could use this name, this ID, so what I just did is create a constructor. So if I want to create a patient from the constructor, I would write like this: page, I don't know, my patient, new patient const, and then let's also create a method. This and should return has got the ID, this ID. Okay, yeah. If I want to create this object, then I would say, let's say Joe, and the ID is I don't know, 2. And then address is Germany. Okay, now I can print it out. Let's see. See whether it works or not. So Joe has got the ID of 2. Yeah, it's correct. And now I can create another patient with the same constructor. Let's call it Jane, and ID 3, and she lives in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the thing about it is, so it works. So the thing about it, now both objects, both instances of these constructor object references to two different two-string functions. So both of them have got their own functions, which is not really efficient, because nice idea would be to have one function for both of them, so they share one function. And that's how the prototype pattern comes in. So with the prototype, you allocate one function to the prototype, and then out of this function, the prototype object references to that. So every instances of that prototype object reference to one function only. Okay, let's say I remove this. And extend it like so.
Now you declare prototype to string, and inside it you declare also to string. Is that correct?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It should be like this, yeah. I don't know why. Yeah, it should be like this, and I think this is too much. Yeah. Okay. Now, if I print out the result again, yeah, it's the same behavior, but then the difference is now there only exists one function called toString in that patient constructor, and my patient and another patient are using both the same function. Before it was every instance would use its own function, and here it uses a global function within the patient constructor object.
So the difference is that if you create this, if you declare this toString function inside the patient constructor function, then the effect is that with every new patient constructor call, you make a copy not only of this name and this ID and this address, but also of the function that is within.
Exactly.
So every instance holds its own.
Yeah.
While if you do it with the prototype, then you declare it once into the prototype.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like in a static method where it still references the original version, which is attached more to the prototype and not directly attached or inside of the instance.
Yeah, but for example, for cases like this, where you only print out the prototype, the static information, then it's cool. You can use this, and it's mainly used for performance critical operations. So yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, I think today it's shorter, but we made 2 patterns. I think. Or do you have any questions?
No, it looks fine so far.
Okay. Cool. Then